Kai moved carefully through the thick jungle. The sky above was a dark green, filled with two suns that burned hotter than anything on Earth. His boots sank into the muddy ground as vines hung low from the trees. He was part of an exploration team sent to this newly discovered planet, but today he was alone, collecting data on native plant life and terrain. He wiped sweat from his brow and looked at his scanner. It beeped slowly. No signs of danger, just plants, insects, and heat. Lots of heat. As he stepped over a fallen tree, he suddenly heard a loud growl from the distance. His muscles tensed. It was deep and sharp, too loud to be any small creature. Slowly, he reached for his pulse blade just in case. Another sound followed. A weak, low whimper. It wasn't a wild roar this time. It sounded wounded. Cautiously, he walked toward the sound, brushing thick leaves aside. Down a narrow slope, he spotted a figure, tall, covered in fur, and lying near a small stream in the ravine. She was massive. Lying on her side, the alien looked part beast and part woman. Her arms were strong, her fingers clawed, and her tail curled tightly around her leg. Her face, though fierce-looking with sharp yellow eyes and pointed ears, showed pain. One of her legs was twisted at an awkward angle. She growled again when she saw him approach. Kai paused. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said slowly, raising both hands. She didn't answer but stared, breathing hard. "I heard you. Are you injured?" She blinked once, then nodded weakly. Kai checked his translator device. It clicked and buzzed. Her voice came through like static at first. "Leg. Broken." "Help," she growled. Kai looked around. There was no one else. No other explorers nearby. If she was telling the truth, she wouldn't last long out here. And if predators came, she wouldn't be able to fight. He took a few steps closer, watching her reaction. She didn't move. She just watched him, calm, focused, like she was waiting for something. "I'll help you," Kai said finally, kneeling down. "But I don't have a stretcher. I'll have to carry you." Her ears twitched. "You carry me?" she asked. "Yes. That's the only way," he said, looking at her leg. She didn't argue. Instead, she nodded again, this time with a strange little smile on her face. Kai took off his gear and placed it in his backpack. Then, with some effort, he slipped his arms under her large body. She was warm, her fur soft but thick, her scent wild and earthy. She let out a soft sound as he lifted her. "You're heavy," he grunted. "You're strong," she replied. He didn't know if she was being serious or teasing him, but there was no time to think about it. Step by step, he began climbing back up the slope. Her arm rested over his shoulder, her face close to his. She said nothing, but he could feel her watching him. "Where's your group?" he asked as they reached flatter ground. "Gone," she answered simply. "Do you have a name?" She hesitated. "Jara." "Kai," he said. "Human," she added, smirking. He gave her a small laugh. "Yes, that's me." The jungle grew thicker as they walked. Vines tugged at his legs and tree roots twisted under his feet. Carrying her wasn't easy. She was tall, strong, and easily twice his weight. Still, he didn't stop. She stayed quiet most of the time, only occasionally guiding him toward safer paths. "You're handling this well for someone injured," he said during a break. Jara looked at him, eyes glowing slightly in the sunlight. "I heal fast," she said. He frowned but said nothing. Something about her answer didn't feel right. After an hour, they found shelter under a rocky overhang. Kai laid her down gently, resting her against the wall. "I need water," he said. "There." She pointed with her chin. A small pool of clear water shimmered just a few feet away. He filled a small container and offered it to her. She took it and drank slowly, never taking her eyes off him. "You trust me?" she asked. "Should I not?" She smiled again, showing a row of sharp but clean teeth. "You carried me. That means something on my world." Kai raised an eyebrow. "What does it mean?" "You'll find out," she said, closing her eyes. As the sky dimmed and the twin suns began to set, the jungle filled with strange sounds. Chirps, whistles, deep howls. Kai made a small fire and set up his comm device, trying to call his base, but the signal was weak. "Looks like we're stuck here for the night," he said, looking over at Jara. She didn't respond at first. Then, slowly, she sat up, carefully, favoring her injured leg. Kai watched. Something was off. Her leg moved too smoothly. No wince, no pain, nothing. "You seem better," he said. Jara looked at him calmly. "Maybe your arms have healing powers," she said with a low purr. Kai stared. "Wait, were you faking?" She tilted her head. "Does it matter?" He opened his mouth to respond, then stopped. Her tone wasn't mocking. It was almost playful. He sat back, trying to process everything. Why would she fake an injury? Why let a human carry her through a dangerous jungle? Jara shifted closer to the fire, her eyes reflecting the flame. "I wanted to see what kind of human you are," she said. "Now I know." Kai didn't know what to say, but he wasn't angry, just confused and curious. The fire crackled between them as the night deepened. Whatever this alien beast woman wanted, it was just the beginning. The jungle grew darker as Kai carried Jara through the thick trees. Strange lights flickered between the vines, small glowing insects that lit up the path for only a second before disappearing again. The sounds of distant creatures echoed in the background. Some growled, some howled, none of them friendly. Kai's back was soaked with sweat. His arms ached, but he kept going. Jara rested calmly on his back, her arms around his neck, her long tail swaying behind him. She didn't complain. She didn't speak much either, but Kai could feel her watching him the entire time. "You're awfully quiet back there," he said, panting. "You breathe hard," she replied. "I've been carrying you for hours. You didn't have to." "Yes, I did," Kai answered. Jara chuckled softly. Strange human. They finally reached a large flat rock near a fallen tree. It was as good a place as any to rest for the night. Kai lowered her gently, then sat beside her, pulling off his pack. "I'll set up the shelter," he said. "You stay here." Jara didn't answer. She just laid back and looked up at the leaves above, her golden eyes half closed. As Kai worked to open the emergency shelter, a small dome made of flexible metal and heat-resistant fabric, he kept glancing at her. Something still felt off. Her leg had shown no bruising. She moved it when she thought he wasn't watching. And now, here she was, lying peacefully while he did all the work. When the shelter was done, he turned to her again. "You sure your leg still hurts?" "Yes," she said quickly. Kai stared at her. "You didn't even check it." "I don't need to. I feel it." He crossed his arms. "You're faking it, aren't you?" Jara slowly sat up, her eyes narrowing slightly. "What if I am?" Kai was caught off guard by her honesty. "Why would you do that?" She didn't speak right away. Then she leaned forward a little and said, "Because I wanted to see what kind of male you are." Kai blinked. "Excuse me?" "My kind. We don't trust easily, but we test. You passed." He frowned. "So this was all a test?" "No. It started that way. But now, I'm just comfortable like this." Kai stared at her. "So you're saying I've been carrying you around for no reason?" Jara tilted her head, smiling. "You could have left me." He sighed and rubbed his face. "This is ridiculous." Jara moved her leg slowly and stretched it in front of him. "It's not broken, but it's sore. Maybe not as bad as I pretended, but not a lie either." Kai watched her for a few moments. Then he laughed quietly. "You're unbelievable. I've been called worse." He offered her a meal pack. She accepted it and sat next to him inside the shelter. The temperature dropped quickly at night, and the jungle became colder than he expected. "Cold," she said, shivering slightly. "I'll adjust the heater." Jara reached out and placed her large hand on his arm. "No. We share heat." He raised an eyebrow. "You just want an excuse to stay close, don't you?" "Maybe," she replied with a sly smile. Kai rolled his eyes but didn't move away. They sat together inside the shelter, close enough to feel each other's warmth. Her body radiated heat, and Kai had to admit, it was actually kind of nice. She smelled like wild berries and rain. Her soft growls were low and steady, almost like a purr. "You know," Kai said after a while, "this is the strangest mission I've ever had. Because of me?" "Yes, and also because I've never had to carry someone who clearly didn't need it." Jara chuckled again. "You didn't mind?" Kai smiled. "That's not the point." "Then what is?" He paused. I just don't understand you. One moment you act helpless. The next you're fully in control." "I am both," she said. "That doesn't help. You will learn." They fell quiet for a while, listening to the sounds of the jungle. A bird-like creature screeched far away. Something large moved through the trees but didn't come closer. Then Jara spoke again, her voice softer now. "Why do you help people?" Kai thought about it. "Because it's the right thing to do. Even strangers." "Yes." Jara nodded slowly. "Then your people are stronger than I thought." Kai looked at her. "You thought we were weak?" She shrugged. "Soft, maybe, not weak, but now I'm not so sure." He leaned back. "We may not look dangerous, but humans adapt. We survive." Jara turned her eyes to him. "You carry someone heavier than you. You walk through danger. You ask for nothing, you stay calm. Is that impressive to you?" She nodded once. "Very." Kai smiled. "Then I'll take that as a compliment." Jara yawned and curled her legs. She was getting sleepy. Kai covered her with a light blanket from his kit. She gave a soft growl of thanks. Before she drifted off, she muttered, "You can carry me tomorrow too?" Kai chuckled. "Of course I can." As she slept, he watched her face. The strong Beastwoman who faked an injury, teased him, tested him, and now slept beside him like a friend. She was strange, but so was he. And maybe that was okay. Morning came fast on the jungle planet. The two suns rose above the tall trees, covering everything in a warm golden light. Birds flew in circles above the branches, and steam lifted from the wet ground. Kai opened his eyes slowly. Jara was already awake. She sat just outside the shelter, legs crossed, eyes scanning the forest. Her tail moved gently behind her like a lazy snake. She didn't speak, just listened. "You didn't wake me," Kai said as he stepped out, stretching his tired arms. "You needed rest," she replied, still pretending your leg is hurt. Jara looked at him with a smirk. "Only if it gets me another free ride." Kai laughed and shook his head. "You're lucky I'm too tired to argue." After breakfast, Kai packed their things. He looked at his map device. The closest outpost was still 6 kilometers away through swamp, rock, and jungle. "Want to walk today?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Jara gave him a long look. Then with dramatic effort, she stood up and took one slow step forward, then limped hard. "Ow," she said. "Still hurts." Kai gave her a blank stare. She grinned. "Fine. I'll walk down for now." They began the journey. At first they said little. The jungle was too loud. Insects buzzed, water dripped from thick leaves, and strange animal calls echoed around them. Every few minutes Kai checked their path. Jara followed close behind, sometimes too close. He could hear her breathing, steady and calm. Suddenly clouds rolled across the sky. Fast, the jungle darkened, and the air grew heavy. "That's not normal," Kai said. "No," Jara agreed, sniffing the air. "Storm." The wind picked up fast. Leaves tore from the trees. A low rumble rolled across the forest floor. "We need shelter now," Kai said. "There." Jara pointed to a rocky hill covered in moss. They ran, the wind slapping their backs. Rain fell seconds later, hard, thick drops like tiny stones. By the time they reached the cave at the base of the hill, they were soaked. Inside, the cave was dry but narrow, just enough room to sit side by side. They caught their breath, shivering. That came out of nowhere, Kai said. Jara nodded, wiping water from her face. Storms here don't give warnings. Lightning flashed outside. Thunder cracked so loud the cave shook slightly. They sat, in silence for a while, listening to the rain hammer the rocks. Jara finally broke the silence. Do you want to know the truth now? Kai looked over. About what? About why I pretended to be hurt. He leaned against the wall. I've been wondering. Jara sighed, then spoke slowly. In my culture, the strongest beastwomen search for mates not by looks or words, but by acts. Real acts. Carrying someone, feeding them, staying through trouble. These are signs of real strength and care. Kai frowned. So you, what, chose me as part of some test? Not exactly. I didn't plan it at first. But when you found me and didn't run, I wanted to see how far you'd go. He blinked. You wanted to know if I was loyal? Yes. Kai let out a long breath. You could have just asked. Jara shook her head. Words mean little. Action means everything. There was something honest in her voice. No teasing now, no games, just truth. Kai nodded slowly. And what did you learn? That humans are not weak. He looked at her. And that's enough for you? No, she said, but it's a start. The cave grew darker. The storm outside showed no sign of stopping. Wind howled like angry animals and the rain pounded the jungle. Jara curled her legs beside her. I'm sorry I lied. Kai looked at her. You didn't lie. You just stretched the truth. She smiled faintly. You're kind. You're weird, he replied. She laughed. Then she asked, Are you angry? He thought for a moment. No, but I do feel confused. About what? You're strong, smart, capable. Why would someone like you need someone like me? Jara didn't answer right away. Then she said, Because strength is not just about power. It's about care, patience, effort. You carried me when you didn't have to. That means more than sharp claws. Kai looked at her. Really looked this time. She wasn't just a wild beast with muscles and teeth. She was thoughtful. Quiet when needed. Bold when it mattered. You're serious, aren't you? He said yes. They sat in silence again. The cave felt warmer now. Safer. Then Jara leaned her head slightly on his shoulder. Kai stiffened but didn't move. Thank you, she said softly. For what? For not putting me down. Kai smiled. I'll carry you again, if you ever need it. Jara smiled too. Even if I don't? Maybe, he said with a smirk. Suddenly a loud crack came from the trees outside. Something had landed nearby. Both of them stood up fast, alert. What was that? Kai whispered. Jara growled low. Something big. The sound came again, branches snapping, followed by a deep, wet snort. Kai readied his stun gun. Jara crouched, claws out. Through the rain, a giant creature appeared, a predator with 6 legs, a mouth full of needle-like teeth and thick, spiked fur. It sniffed the air, turning toward the cave. It smells us, Jara whispered. Kai aimed. Can we fight it? Jara shook her head. Not here. The cave is too small. If it charges, we'll be trapped. The beast stepped closer. Kai's mind raced. Suddenly he remembered something in his bag. A sound beacon, meant to scare off large animals. I have an idea, he said. Cover your ears. Jara did. Kai pulled out the beacon, pressed a button, and tossed it far outside the cave. A high-pitched screech blasted through the jungle. The beast roared in pain and ran off in the opposite direction, crashing through trees. Jara looked impressed. That worked. Human tricks, Kai said, proudly. She stepped closer to him and placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. Maybe you don't need to carry me. Maybe I should carry you. Kai laughed. I'd like to see that. She smirked. Someday. As the storm slowly faded and the suns returned, light began to shine into the cave. Jara stretched her arms and stood tall. Kai looked at her, then at the map. Only a few hours left to the outpost. Jara turned to him and said, "Then let's walk together." "No more pretending?" She smiled. "Only the truth now." And they stepped out of the cave side by side. The sun climbed high above the jungle canopy as Kai and Jara moved steadily through the thick forest. The air was warm and humid, filled with the sounds of strange birds and insects buzzing around bright flowers. The ground was soft beneath, their feet covered with fallen leaves and small branches. Kai felt a new strength in his steps. After the storm, and after Jara's truth, the weight on his back was gone. Now, they walked side by side. Her powerful legs made quick work of the rough terrain, and he admired her silent confidence. "So," Kai said, breaking the quiet, "you really don't need me to carry you anymore?" Jara smiled. Her golden eyes sparkled with amusement. "No, but sometimes it is more comfortable to be carried." Kai raised an eyebrow. "Comfortable for you?" She nodded. "For you too." Kai shook his head but didn't argue. "I guess I never understood your kind." "Few humans do," she said. "We are proud, strong, but also careful." "What do you mean?" "In my tribe, we choose mates through trials. One must prove loyalty, strength, and patience. Carrying me was a way to test those." Kai smiled. "Well, you caught me off guard." Jara laughed softly. "You passed." Kai looked away, suddenly feeling shy. It was strange to be praised by such a fierce creature. Suddenly, Jara froze. Kai noticed and stopped too. "What is it?" he whispered. She turned her head, slowly, ears twitching. "Hunters," she said softly. Kai's heart beat faster. He scanned the trees but saw nothing. "They are close," Jara said. Kai pulled out his stun gun and moved carefully behind her. From above, a faint rustling sound came. Suddenly, branches snapped. Several figures dropped from the trees like shadows. They were native predators, large, agile, covered in dark fur with sharp claws and glowing eyes. Their movements were silent but deadly. Kai raised his stun gun and fired. A bright bolt hit one predator, sending it crashing into a tree. Jara growled and leapt forward, claws extended. Her speed was breathtaking. She tore into another predator, her powerful arms lifting it off the ground. The other predators hissed and circled. Kai fired again, but he was outnumbered. He ducked behind a tree, panting. Jara fought fiercely, roaring with strength and rage. Kai knew he had to help, but his shots were not enough. One predator leapt toward him, claws ready. Kai dodged and swung his stun gun like a club. The predator yelped and backed off. Jara sliced through another attacker, then turned to help Kai. Together, they fought back the pack. Finally, the predators retreated into the shadows, disappearing into the thick jungle. Kai and Jara stood, breathing heavily. "Are you okay?" Kai asked, wiping sweat from his brow. Jara nodded, though a small cut on her arm bled slowly. Kai checked his own minor scratches. "That was close," he said. She smiled fiercely. "I told you I was strong." Kai laughed. "No doubt about that." As they continued their journey, Kai felt a new respect for Jara. She was more than just a Beastwoman. She was a protector, a fighter, and a survivor. They walked for hours, the sun sinking low in the sky. Finally, in the distance, Kai saw the small lights of the outpost. "We made it," he said with relief. Jara's eyes softened. "I never thought I would see this place again." Kai looked at her. "Why?" "This is where I was taken from my tribe." Kai frowned. "Taken?" Jara's expression grew dark. "Slavers. They captured many of us. I escaped, but not without scars." Kai felt a wave of anger and sadness. "I'm sorry." She shook her head. "It is my past. Now I choose my own path." Kai nodded. "And I'm glad it leads here." As they approached the outpost, guards spotted them and quickly surrounded them. Kai explained the situation, but the officers frowned when they saw Jara. She is a native species, one said. She cannot leave this planet. Kai's heart sank. Jara stepped forward, proud and unafraid. If I stay, I am not free, she said. If I leave, I lose my home. Kai looked at her. We can find a way. The officers were silent. Kai knew the rules, but he couldn't leave her behind. He reached out and took her hand. Jara smiled softly. I will not be carried anymore, she said, but I will stand with you. Kai smiled back. Together they faced the future, uncertain, but united. Kai stood at the edge of the outpost landing zone, the twin suns low in the sky behind him. The soft hum of engines filled the air as a small scout ship prepared for takeoff. Behind him, Jara stood tall, her golden eyes watching the horizon, with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. The soldiers had made it clear, Jara was considered a native species. Protocol said she must remain on this planet, kept under watch. No human was allowed to take her off-world. The rules were strict, and Kai understood them, but his heart disagreed. Kai glanced at Jara. Her fur shimmered faintly in the sunset. She was proud, fierce, and free. No cage or chain could hold her spirit. I don't want to leave you here, Kai said softly. Jara turned to him, eyes shining. I don't want to be left. Kai took a step forward. Then come with me. We'll find a way. Jara shook her head, voice firm. They will stop you. Kai smiled. Then we won't ask. Without warning, Kai lifted her into his arms. Just as he had on that first day in the jungle, Jara's eyes widened. For a moment she was silent. Then a soft growl escaped her throat. I thought you said no more carrying. Kai laughed. I changed my mind. She relaxed in his arms, wrapping her tail around his waist. The weight felt different now, not a burden but a promise. The soldiers watched in surprise. Some frowned, others whispered. Kai stepped toward the ship's ramp. Captain, this isn't allowed, one officer said. Kai looked him in the eye. Then I'm not asking for permission. He carried Jara through the outpost, past guards and scanners toward the ship. Jara smiled, her voice low. You are stubborn, Kai shrugged, and you are lucky. Inside the ship, Kai set her. Down gently, the engines roared to life. The ship lifted off. Outside the windows, the jungle planet shrank beneath them. Kai looked at Jara. We're leaving, she nodded. Together. The journey was long but peaceful. They talked quietly about their worlds, their hopes, and their fears. Jara told Kai stories of her tribe, their strength, honor, and traditions. Kai shared his dreams of exploring the stars and finding new friends. They laughed, sometimes shared, silent moments, and built a bond stronger than any test. When the ship finally landed on a human colony world, Kai knew things would not be easy. Many would question Jara. Rules might try to pull them apart. But Kai was ready, because some bonds are worth fighting for. He looked at Jara and whispered, I'll carry you, injured or not. Always. She smiled, bright and proud. I will. Walk beside you, she said. Together, they stepped into the new world, ready for whatever came next.